Oh, today we're going to be shooting the revolvers of World War I, and there were three principal ones on the Anglo-American side. There's the Webley Mark VI, which came out in 1916. There's the 1917 Colt, which is actually the Colt New Service, and then there's the 1917 Smith Wesson, which is big end frame Smith. And we're going to be shooting them with 45 ACP as they were chambered. And as you can see, we've got a bunch of clips loaded up. This right here is the clip that made it all possible to shoot 45 ACP inside of a revolver. It allowed it to headspace on the clip, so it could use a rimless round. These are half moon clips, 3 rounds. These are the originals. Today, most people use a full moon clip, which holds 6, and it's very convenient, just like a speed loader. And the final option are these quarter moon clips, hold 2, and if you want to carry a 45 ACP revolver, this is the best option because they fit right flat in your pocket, they load easily, not as bulky as using any of these, and I've carried these myself quite good. The other option, and we'll do a few of these, is the auto rim. As you can see, this round has a very thick rim, and that mimics the action of basically of head spacing on that clip. So let's see how these guns do. We're going to be shooting some steel. As you can see, we've got the Evil Roy targets out there, and we've got some hanging plates, so we should have some fun. Well, we'll look at each of these three guns in order here. Well, we'll start off with the oldest gun of the three. The British Webley Mark VI was made in 1916, and it's one of my favorite guns ever. I picked it up at an estate sale about 18 years ago, and I've been shooting it ever since. The British Webley is a break top revolver that was originally chambered for the 4.55 Webley cartridge, which is a regular rimmed revolver cartridge. But this gun, like so many of them that were imported after World War I, was converted to fire 45 ACP on moon clips. This Webley's always been an accurate shooter for me, particularly in single action mode. It used to have just an abysmal double action. It was very long and very stiff, very hard. A number of years ago, it was fully tuned by a very well-known custom gunsmith who swore me to secrecy, because when he was done, he said he never wanted to do another Webley for the rest of his life. But I've got the benefit of it. Now it has a very smooth double action as well. It can really put the bullets in the center of the target. I've got the original World War I holster for my Webley, which is here on the left. As you can see, it's in pretty rough shape. I do not use it. And I've used a variety of modern holsters, but I've got to say my favorite holster was made for me by my friend Jay Harrell at Cowboy Heritage. And it's more of a Western design, and I really like it. This holster was made for me by my friend Jay Harrell of Cowboy Heritage. It's an authentic Kansas drop loop design from right around the turn of the century, and it's very appropriate as a more Western style holster for the Webley. It's become one of my favorite holsters. So let's get the Webley out to the range and see what it'll do. I will start off the fun with the Webley Mark VI. This is a break top revolver. And here's how we load it with full moon clips. This was originally for 4.55 Webley, which was not a clip cartridge. A lot of them, when they came here to the States after World War I, they were cut back on the cylinder so they could accept 45 ACP in clips. And this is really a fun gun to shoot. I've had it for about 18 years, and I really like it. The full moon clips eject beautifully from these top brakes. Bang. Next we'll be shooting the Smith Wesson Model 1917. The Smith & Wesson is a swing-out cylinder. It's their conventional big end-frame revolver, and actually this is the gun that made it all possible, because Frank Wesson is the person who developed the moon clips for the government so that revolvers could be brought into service. This was necessary during World War I because there just weren't enough 1911 automatics to go around, but they wanted to use the same ammunition that the automatics did. And those half-moon clips that Wesson developed were what made that possible. Every good handgun deserves some good leather, and this is an actual reproduction of the government's 1917 revolver holster that was made for me by El Paso Saddlery. Carries the 1917 very well. Now, we're going to take this out to the range, and you'll notice, by the way, that these are not actual 1917 grips. When I bought this pistol, of course, it's 80 years old, and it had a set of Pachmeyer rubber grips on it. So I threw on a set of walnut end frame grips while I looked for a set of original 1917 grips for it. This of the three guns, the Smith & Wesson also has by far the hardest double action trigger pull. So at some point I may get this thing tuned up. But in the meantime, it's still fun to shoot and a very rugged, solid, dependable handgun. Well, now it's time to fire the 1917 Smith & Wesson. This is also swing-out cylinder, and I'm going to load this one with the auto rim cartridges that do not require clips. This allows it to function just like a conventional revolver. And we're good to go. The last of our three World War I revolvers is the Colt New Service Model 1917. The New Service was originally developed in 1898, and then in 1917 it was chambered for the .45 ACP round and went on to serve in World War I and also in the home front in World War II. Just a great gun. The Colt New Service was one of the favorite guns of Colonel Charles Askins. Charlie Askins was one of my favorite gun writers when I was a kid. The guy is phenomenal, and he got me interested in Colt New Services. Like all of the pre-war Colts, the New Service has just a fantastic, smooth, silky double action. The thing is really a joy to shoot, and it's incredibly accurate. My only issue with the New Service is that the grip is very awkward for me to use as it is. It positions my hand too far away from the trigger. And the way I've rectified that is by using a Tyler T grip. And this goes on, no screws, just held by the pressure of the grips. And it changes the geometry of the grip, and it makes this gun really comfortable for me to shoot. And in fact, I would not recommend shooting one of these without it unless you've got gigantic hands like Charlie Askins did. I carry the Colt 1917 in a George Patton rig that was made for me by El Paso Saddlery. Very comfortable, period correct, and it just shows off the gun very well. Well, now we'll run some targets with the 1917 Colt New Service. This is a swing-out cylinder, and it's loaded with quarter-moon clips. Now we're going to load the Colt with the quarter moon clips. Just to demonstrate. And there we go. Alright, these are the classic half moon clips. We're going to load them in the Colt and we'll put it through its paces. There we go. Now, that looks like a good day at the range.